The bond of marriage between man and woman, it's a sacred thing. It's a sacred union, sacred bond. And it is possible to save it, even if it feels like it's impossible right now. It is possible to bring healing and to bring more unity, more union, forgiveness, and to come closer. But there needs to be a willingness on both sides for that to happen. If you found this video and it happens that you are in this situation, that your marriage is not what it was before, if you've lost that connection and that love, the communication, then I wanted to speak a bit about some of the things that you could do in order to bring more of that harmony, in order to bring you together, to bring you closer, to heal the rift that's come between you. There are stages of closeness and there are stages of distance and disconnection. And at the beginning of the relationship, of course, oftentimes it's really beautiful. There's the honeymoon period. There's a period when you are excited about your future, when you feel close, you feel connected, you want to be together all the time. You want to be around each other all the time, spending time together. And sometimes as the years go by, as the months go by even, it can be that you grow further apart for whatever reason. Maybe there's a break in trust. Maybe there's just distance. Maybe you put your attention elsewhere and you end up spending less of that intimate time together. Let's look at some of the ways in which we can bring that back in order to bring more of that harmony. This sense of distance and disconnection, it doesn't feel good in your heart, and most likely it doesn't feel good for your partner. You are suffering from this, and they are also suffering from this. But as human beings, we often have the tendency to only see our own pain, to experience our own feelings, and to feel justified, to feel that we are not getting what we want. And it's easy to blame and to get into a pattern of pointing the finger without seeing really what the other person is going through. You can also get a better understanding about what your needs are, which are not being met, the things that you need, to examine them yourself. Get a piece of paper, you could write down what it is that you lack, that you want more of, just so that it's clear in your own mind what you want in this relationship. It's important to acknowledge your own pain, to be aware of it, that you are actually hurt. The things that you are going through, it's very real. It's not something to be dismissed. And you want them to understand what you're going through. And maybe they want you to understand what they're going through. The really important key is to work to moving away from the blame and the judgment and pointing the finger, to see what is possible to create more bridges and less walls between you. The primary tool that we use in this is understanding. More understanding of what's going on really inside you, inside your emotions. Giving them names, feeling what those feelings are, seeing what those emotions are, understanding them, and also seeing what the other person is experiencing, trying to understand their side of it, which is really the challenge. This is the most difficult thing when we feel hurt ourselves, to understand that they are also going through something and that they also have a point. It's not just one-sided. If you're able to cultivate a compassion beyond, seeing beyond your own pain, but actually seeing them in a light of compassion, to see that they are also in pain, then you're able to create that bridge of understanding. And that really leads to healing. Communication is the second key. The first key was understanding. Communication is really important to open up a way to communicate in a way which is respectful, If there's been a lot of disrespect and raising your voice and shouting and arguing and all of that, then it may be a challenge to bring it back to a normal civil conversation. But that's really what we are striving for. And it's so difficult when the emotions are there as well, when there's so much pain and anger, when it feels like it's built up over the years. With communication, it's really important to keep the expression on what we are experiencing, to express what we are feeling, and not say, I'm feeling this because you did this, but just be open and say, this is how it is for me, this is what I'm feeling. And when you're able to actually acknowledge the other person's feelings, when you're able to say, I can see that you're hurt, I can see that I've hurt you, I can see that I've caused you this pain, that really opens the door to allow for that healing to come. You know, when we're able to go beyond our own ego and to acknowledge that we've done our part also to bring damage to this relationship, when we're able to own up to our part, that humility, it heals the connection. Before we can really come together, we need to acknowledge the pain that we've caused each other, to say that it's real, that it's true that I've done this, it's true that you've done this. But we both have a willingness to get beyond all of the blame and judgment that we have for each other. We've tried that and it doesn't work. We've tried being enemies, we've tried being cold, and all the ways that we deal with our own traumas. And now we would like to try to come together to heal this, to fix this. The thing is, if there has been a lot of pain that's built up from a long time, then there is a disconnection which has happened and trust has been broken. And it may take a long time or a lot of healing for that trust to be rebuilt. For a person who has been hurt to feel like it's safe again to open up and to take the risk of loving again, being vulnerable and putting themselves on the line, you know, making themselves available to love and also available to risk being hurt, risk being let down. And your partner doesn't want to be let down again. They don't want to feel that blame again. They don't want to feel whatever it is that has caused this disconnection between you. It may be scary to acknowledge a lot of these things and to actually face the pain, to speak about it, to confront it in this way. But if you care enough about your relationship, you'll do this work. You know, maybe you'll contact your partner if you're living together, or if you're not, make a date, make some space so that you can talk and be open to them. Watch your own reactions. It's very important to watch how you get triggered inside and the emotions, so that you avoid saying things in a judgmental way which will cause more disconnection. You want to hold back those expressions of judgment and blame and keep the emotions on yourself. I'm feeling this. This is how I'm feeling. And also to be open to what they're experiencing, what their experience is of this situation. You'll be surprised that the biggest breakthroughs come when you really face your fears and when together you are really willing to talk about the most difficult things. It may bring up a lot, it may bring up a lot of tears, a lot of resentment, a lot of heavy emotions, but it will be very healing if you're open to making steps forward. What to do when the other party is completely disconnected and doesn't want to communicate? Perhaps they need space right now. Perhaps the pain is so much that it's just too much for them to deal with it in this time. Maybe it's good to take a step back, to breathe, to have some time apart, and then come together when there's an opportunity to communicate. when they're more willing to do that. In the meantime, you can work on yourself, work on your anger, on your judgment, on the blame, on the hurt, the disappointment, all of those layers, and work on forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person. Work on releasing those painful emotions within yourself by feeling them, by acknowledging them, and letting them just pass through. It can be so devastating to experience disconnection like this, separation. It can bring up all of our abandonment issues from childhood, all of the times that we were let down by others. All of those wounds get reactivated. And it's also an opportunity to look into those things and to heal those things so that we don't need to repeat these cycles of separation and pain and loss and abandonment, all of that. So invest in yourself and in your own growth by doing the inner work, which will really help your relationship to flower and to come back to harmony, come back to communication, to understanding, intimacy, love, bringing back all those things that you want to experience again. When you restore the harmony on the emotional level, then you'll very often find that the physical level will take care of itself and the intimacy will return. And then you can have a reflowering of your romantic relationship. You can really bring the love back into your marriage and restore something beautiful, perhaps even more beautiful than it was at the beginning, because overcoming difficulties together, we grow from that, and it can make us stronger, make our union stronger.